And Desmond Cole. He's also a journalist, activist, author of The Skin We're In, A Year of Black Resistance and Power. Joining me from Toronto. Mr. Cole, I saw you standing there nodding behind Ms. Bain. So I am to take it that you do not accept the chief's apology either, and I'd like to get your reaction on the report in general.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. I mean, we haven't had a chance to read the report, right? And I think that that's a really important part of what's happening today, is that James Raymer and the police released the report at the same time as he was apologizing. And that was done intentionally. This report could have been released with weeks in advance to give people a chance to sit with it. There could have been reportings out, consultations. There could have been all kinds of things that were done. But actually, this is just an excuse for the police to keep doing what they've been doing. So it's like, here's the report, but before you even had time to read it, we're sorry, and let's move on. And that shows the ongoing disrespect to Black communities.
That's an interesting perspective, and we do have some of the data from it, Desmond. I know you've seen it and heard it. There can be no doubt. The data doesn't lie. Black people were disproportionately interacting, or the term over-policed, I find interesting. They were over-policed, and the data doesn't lie. So even if we haven't delved down into all the facts, there's no question that Black communities and Indigenous communities and other racialized communities were disproportionately focused upon.
Well, I think the really hard part, Jennifer, about today is that the data, you can say the data doesn't lie, but were Black people lying? Were we lying all this time when we said exactly these things? Why did it take the police's own investigation into themselves to demonstrate something that we have been saying for years? Why are our stories and our experiences and our pain, why are those things not accepted? But then the police can put out data and suddenly we're saying, well, now it's definitive. It was always definitive. Nothing is new today. But what I want to say is, like, this isn't actually about James Raymer and the Toronto Police's apology. This is about Mayor John Tory and Toronto City Council continuing to support and fund and increase funding for a police force that is hurting us in this way. We didn't ask James Raymer for an apology. We asked John Tory and the council to defund and reallocate police resources. So this has nothing to do with what we've been asking for. It's a distraction.
You tweeted earlier, we continue to demand police defunding, as you just mentioned, and ultimately abolition. And no apology can substitute for that. Desmond, help us understand what that actually looks like on the street for the everyday Torontonian/Canadian, because I'm sure this is something that we would see in other police departments across the country where similar reports conducted. So what does defunding and abolition look like? Because to some people, that is concerning.
Yes, thank you for asking. Defunding is a process that can lead us to police abolition. It's not something that happens tomorrow. We don't snap our fingers tomorrow and say, take them all off of the streets. But are we not acknowledging with this report that a shocking amount of police activity engaging Black people never needed to happen in the first place? Like, why are we pretending that those police, had they not been harassing us, would have been up to something useful in the community? They're doing exactly what they've been put out on the streets to do, which is to follow us around, to surveil us, to create suspicion about us where none exists. You can eliminate that police activity and the man hours and bodies and equipment that goes with it and have no negative impact, because we're agreeing, I hope now, that those behaviors never needed to happen. But what I would say more broadly than that is, even when it comes to investigating crime, as we describe crime, Jennifer, the police always come after the fact. The police are not running in like the movies to save the day. And you can investigate crime without having a gun. You can investigate crime in the future without having a license to kill people, without having a taser, without having the ability to put somebody in jail over a suspicion. We can still deal with antisocial behavior in our society without it being this particular intervention. We need other interventions. We need nonviolent interventions. We need interventions that come with community support. We're not saying we don't believe in safety. We're saying that, like, I was asked today about, like, oh, well, won't there be chaos? Are these numbers not a reflection of a certain kind of chaos being wreaked upon the Black community? We have to flip the script here. We have to stop suggesting that somebody else is going to be at harm And we actually have to start caring about the very clear harm that's being done to us this winter.
Desmond Cole, journalist, activist, and author, I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.